Share Punjabi, Punjabi, hey, share Punjabi, Punjabi, hey, share Punjabi. Brah. Hello, and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. What a brilliant day it is today. I am joined with Benji. How are you doing, mate?
I'm so good. I've never been better. I'm having the best day of my entire life.
Zach isn't here today. He was so disgusted by the Chennai performance that he just decided he couldn't even face coming on this podcast. So it's just me and Benji, but that's all we need. You know, it's quality, not quantity. And yeah, what a game we had today. So it was Punjab versus CSK, and as you can tell by the smug and annoying look on my face, Punjab came out better. So CSK put us into bat, and after we had a pretty poor start. We lost.
I want to just say wickets, before we get on, like, it wasn't just better. It was like not just came out better. It was a lot. It was an absolute battering. The Punjab fan go mental in the comments about this, please. But like, Punjab winning by 54 runs, it was just embarrassing, actually, watching it as a Chennai supporter. What happened? Like, yeah, as James said, we were put in. Chennai won the toss and obviously selected to bat second, which seemed like a great idea at the time. And actually, at the start of the innings, like, Chowdhury and Jordan were bowling really well. And like, actually, I think the 11 that CSK put out was the best 11 that we could have put out, considering injuries. And when I looked at the team card for Punjab, I was like, well, what's happened here? Why have we got this unheard of Jitesh Sharma chap? Who's he in the side? Oh, that's good. They've dropped a great bowler in Raj Bhatt for this other supposedly unknown. They've not got Sandeep Sharma. It's going to be, a trouncing. And then, yeah, not a good day.
It was pretty rough. So after we lost 2 early wickets, Mayank Agarwal falling cheaply, and Rajapaksa, who was, a huge threat, also getting, run out. It looked a bit shaky at the start for Punjab. And then Shikhar Dhawan decided to anchor the innings because he's a man of absolute quality. And Liam Livingstone, oh, what a chap. He lived up to his price tag, I thought. Like, it was an amazing knock. 5 fours, 5 sixes. One of the sixes, 108 meters. That's the longest six of the IPL so far. It was classic Livingstone. Like, it looked really comfortable. Looks just like Liam Livingstone does when he plays for England, really.
It was just a fantastic partnership, wasn't it? Like, I mean, him and Shikhar Dhawan put on 95 runs between them on 52 balls. And I think actually that was the difference in the end between the two teams. The fact that there was that partnership that came in. Like, if you look at the partnerships in the game, the only other partnership of note that was in the Punjab innings was Shahrukh Khan, who, might I say, looked awful, and Jitesh Sharma, who, scored 25 of those 31 runs. The only thing really that Chennai had in the fight back was that slight partnership with Dhoni and Dubey. Like that, that actually looked quite good. Both of them looked quite a decent nick. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't quite enough. I mean, Livingstone with the ball as well was fantastic. Like, taking wickets, he took 2 wickets in an over. He was just the difference, I think, between the two teams. I mean, Aurora, Rabada, and Arshdeep Singh all chipped in with wickets. And actually, like, when you look at that scorecard, and no one's gone at over 9, gone at over 10s and over, and most bowlers start with a 6. It's just a really good bowling show. And yeah, I think on the day, the better team won. I think that's just true to say. Chennai just weren't able to keep their opening wickets. Gaikwad was disappointing again. Departed early once again. Robin Utper gave his wicket away. Moeen and Jadeja, both match winners, both got ducks. I just think that everything that could have gone wrong for Chennai went wrong. I think a shining light was Shivam Dubé in the sense that he was able to, score a pretty decent 50.
He looked really good, actually. Like
Yeah,
the last
he was,
couple of games, he's looked really good. And I know you weren't really convinced by him. I think yesterday or last game when he came in, I think you commented like, "Oh, here's a walking wicket," and then he looked like explosive. Like he doesn't move his feet, and yet he can like put the ball a long way.
Well, he's very tall, isn't he?
Mm.
So he can just swing the bat. I think actually, yeah, that's probably the only positive. I mean, Bravo, Pretorius, and Jordan, I think they made a decent bowling attack. And I think that's going to have to be what the Chennai bowling attack looks like for most of the game. Moeen again only bowled the one over today and wasn't even particularly that expensive, but still only chipped in with one over. Yeah, it's just a shame because I think that all of the games so far that Chennai have played, like they could have come out as the better team. And like on paper, they look like they could have won all three of their games so far. And there's just been a factor, like for the first two games, we didn't quite have the right mix of bowling. And this game, just getting outclassed in that second innings and losing those early wickets. And I mean, Chennai have got a lot of work.
It does sound a bit like it could be captaincy. Like,
yeah,
like with the bowling choices, that's up to the captain. And some of them have looked questionable, his decisions. And maybe it's just him warming into the role, but losing 3 games at the start of the IPL is really tough because obviously you've got to come back from that. And we've seen it before. We've seen KKR last season got off to a horrible start and then came back strong. And there are definitely shining lights for Chennai fans. I'd say you're right with Shivam Dubé. He's looking good, and all it'll take is a Moeen Ali to come into form, and maybe a Gaikwad because he was huge for you last year, and he has the momentum. But also Dwayne Pretorius with the ball he's looking really good. Like just people can't get him away. And then as well, Chris Jordan looked good. When Chris Jordan's on form, he looks like such a class bowler. But as soon as he's sort of put under the pump a bit, he doesn't look great anymore. So I'm hoping Chris Jordan has a good series because he's a very likable guy. But I think you've got kind of 3 of the same bowler in Jordan, Pretorius, and Bravo, haven't you?
I agree. I agree. And I think we've commented on this before, haven't we? Like last year, a few weeks ago, I think last Chennai game, we said that Chennai have tried to replace like for likes with their players in the auction, like trying to replace Faf with Devon Conway. We can see that hasn't worked, has it? We've tried to replace Saul Thakur and Deepak Chahar with 2 newer unblooded Indians, and it could be okay, but it just I don't think this is the right year for that to happen. I think also with the fact that Deepak Chahar and Adam Milne, 2 of the most expensive players that Chennai bought, haven't been able to play, I think has played a big part in it. But I don't want to sort of use the Deepak Chahar excuse over and over again, because today it wasn't the bowling that was the issue, it was the batting. And it was the same against KKR too. It was early wickets that really, lost CSK that game. I mean, there's work to do. On the flip side, I'm not convinced at how good Punjab looked. Like, yes, Liam Livingston looked really good. Yes, Shikhar Dhawan played a decent innings where he's not looked great so far. But as a whole unit, I'm still not convinced by Punjab yet. You know what I mean? I think they've been made to look good in a couple of games that they've played.
So what
do you think about
that? I mean, naturally, I'm going to disagree with you a bit because I think we do have some really good players there. Because Darwin's been quite good, and we've had different players stand out to, sort of give us a game. Mayank Agarwal hasn't actually done anything yet, really. So as soon as he starts firing as well, that could be huge for us. But I think you're right in that there is something missing with Punjab, and it's looking like we could see a switch between Jitesh Sharma and Shah Rukh Khan, because Shah Rukh Khan you're right, he's looked awful, and he hasn't looked convincing at all in the 3 games that we've played so far. And I think if we could sort of rebalance a bit, get Odean Smith out and Shah Rukh Khan out, get Johnny Bairstow in, and maybe another bowler or a bowling all-round, maybe like Rishi Darwan in, that could, sort of balance the side a bit more, because then you've got, the top 5 or 6 looking like Agarwal, Darwan, Rajapaksa, Bairstow, Livingston, Sharma, and then whoever. So I think that's going to, like I said at the start in my predictions, I think we'll have some issues balancing the side to begin with. I think if Shah Rukh Khan was firing, it would make such a big difference. And a huge addition to our side, I think, is Vaibhav Arora.
He looked so good.
He was swinging it both ways, looked absolutely brilliant. And if he can be the Punjab version of an Umesh Yadav for KKR this season, those wickets up front are turning to be really coming as gold dust. And I think that's kind of going to be the theme of this IPL. Previously we've had a huge focus on death bowling. Death bowling's been the biggest focus. And in the previews, you and Zach kind of pointed at Rajasthan and Lucknow and said, these guys just don't really have the death bowling. But what we're kind of realizing is that death bowling isn't as important as wickets in the power play. If you can have that up front wicket taker, it just puts an instant dent in the side, and it means that they have to draw on that batting depth. And some of the players that might otherwise have the role of finisher have to adapt and play a slower innings and kind of take the game a bit deeper. And someone like Shah Rukh Khan, who should be able to do that, isn't at the moment. And it's a real shame, because he's had this past year where he's been in the absolute form of his life, where he can't do anything wrong. He's just hitting really, really well. And then he's got to the IPL where it really matters. And it's a shame. So I'm hoping that he comes back. I'm hoping that he comes back strong and back to form. But a huge shout out to Aurora. And also, last game, I'd heard Rahul Chahar kind of say, look, I've been working on my batting quite a bit. And then he went out for a first ball duck and he looked awful. This game, he hit a 4 and a 6, and they were good as well.
Then got out.
He got out, but that's what I want. I want an 8-ball 12 from Rahul Chahar, and Kagiso Rabada as well. He's looking relatively handy with the bat. So there are shining lights. There are some dim things. So I think if it was me, I would probably look to drop Shah Rukh Khan and Odean Smith and replace them with either some more Indian talent, because we seem to be bursting with it, or I'd like to see Bairstow in and maybe an Indian bowling all-rounder such as Darwan, or an out-and-out bowler, because Bairstow adds that much batting depth.
I'm not sure how you balance that team with Odean Smith out of the team, though. You would have to play another Indian all-rounder if you're replacing Bairstow with Odean Smith, because Bairstow, I think, would go into the top 4. Livingston maybe slots in at 5, with being able to bowl, spin, go both ways. He bowled really good today as well. Yeah. But then if Livingston comes in late, and I think actually the real swing for the game today was the 5th over of Punjab's innings. I think actually that I think swung the tide of that game and shifted the momentum really into Punjab's favour. And also gave Livingston some confidence to go and play for the rest of that day. I mean, the first 4 overs, it was 31 for 2. It was like relatively tidy and 2 early wickets.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you comment about the bowling changes and about the captaincy, because I would argue that Chowdhury had 1 too many overs there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it was Umesh Yadav or Tim Southey who had taken a wicket every over. Like, in the last couple of balls of that last over, Livingston had really taken a liking to him. Like, he'd seen him off for 3 balls, then hit a 6 and a 4. And it's like, at that point, Livingston's, got the pace of his bowling, and then Livingston goes and takes him for 24 off 1 over with 2 wides in there as well.
Yeah, and that was the kind of the difference, because in the Punjab bowling innings, we saw sort of Shivam Dubey start to take a bit of a liking to Odean Smith, who, after bowling an over where he only went for 2, and I think he took a wicket as well.
Yeah.
He then went for 12 in his next over, and it was kind of like, okay, there's alarm bells, and he brought Livingston on, and it was like, okay, that's good. And I think the more we can use Livingston as a balancing, as an all-round, a genuine all-rounder, which he is now, the better. And I think if we're going to take out Odean Smith for Bairstow, we need to take out Shahrukh Khan at the same time, so we can add in an Indian bowler / bowling all-rounder. And I think we do have class still in there with the Indian sides. I think Rishi Darwan is he's a very experienced Indian all-rounder. He can bowl quite a bit, so I'd like to see him. I also wouldn't mind if we kept Bairstow on the bench for another game and just swapped Odean Smith out for Benny Howell. Just give him a go. We've got some depth there, and we've got exciting players. And the nice thing is that even though you look at Livingston after hitting 60 off 32 and you think, oh wow, he's brilliant, but I still don't think that we're wasting him by having him down the order. And if we shunted him down 1 more, I don't mind, because we've got Bairstow, Rajapaksa, Darwan and Agarwal above him, and those aren't slouches. It's not like they're going to be eating up deliveries. They are brilliant players. And I think I think it's a balance problem with Punjab, and I think CSK, I think they're missing a bit of form. All they needed was a decent partnership at the start. I think Moeen Ali going up for a duck, with some great bowling. So you got to, there's credit to Aurora there, but just one of your top 3 really, taking a stand and doing well would have really flipped the game on its head, I think.
I know.
Well, there we go.
It would have. One more thing just before we finish. I think that's something we've seen in this IPL so far, and it might be because of the grounds that we're playing at and a bit of the due factor too. But I've not seen much spin in the power play. I don't know about you. We've not seen many overs of spin, I would say, at all. And I think from a Chennai perspective, I would like to see that a little bit, because Deshpande and Chowdhury have both been put under pressure in that power play. And we've been using, today we use Chris Jordan and sort of DJ Bravo as opening bowlers. And actually, rather than in that 5th over, giving Chowdhury that extra over to, go for 26, and then Bravo to go for 15 in the 6th over, why not Jadeja, step up as the captain, give himself an over, take the pace off, make the batsman generate the pace and try and get a mistake, or even just bowl an over that goes for 6 runs, because that would have kept that pressure on Punjab at the start of that innings.
Definitely. And there's also pressure to score a lot in the first innings.
Yeah.
If you put them into bat, because there's that due factor kind of weighing on your mind, you're thinking, we need to get 200 here. So you're right, a cheap over at the start. I think bowling Moeen Ali at the start, he's done it for England.
We saw it in the World Cup, didn't we? Moeen Ali would bowl a lot of power play overs, and he did it a lot, and Owen Morgan trusted him with it. Now, I don't know if India just, if it's a thing about the Indian team, they just don't do power play spin bowlers. I don't think I saw it very much from the Indian side in the T20 World Cup, but I think it's something that actually could really be beneficial. Like I saw it quite a lot in the Pakistan Super League, and I've seen it a little bit in the BBL too, because actually that change of pace can be really crucial. So I would like to see, a little bit of a change there. Should we do heroes and villains?
Yes. So I'll pick out a hero from Punjab, and I'm not going to pick Liam Livingstone because he's too obvious. Like he was obviously he was the hero, but he was too much of a hero. I want to choose someone else, and I'm going to choose Rahul Chahar because he did a bit with the bat, and he's been bowling amazingly over the whole time. Like he's been looking brilliant. So Rahul Chahar is my hero. And then my villain for the game, I think I'm going to have to go for Ruturaj Gaikwad, just because this is now like his third very poor innings, and he looks all at sea out there, and the difference between like a good Gaikwad at the top of the order and a bad Gaikwad is huge. Like he was winning games for you before, and now he's putting the rest of your bowling lineup under pressure. What do you think? Who are your heroes and villains?
My hero is Vibhanav Aurora. I think I've butchered that name, but really good bowling figures, and removing some big scalps in that opening spell. Villain wise, I'm actually gonna go with Sir Jadoo. I know, very, very controversial shout, but didn't really offer anything with the bat today. Didn't really need to get out that way. I don't think it was that good of a delivery from Arshdeep Singh that dismissed him. Yeah. And some of the bowling changes. I mean, he did dismiss Liam Livingstone, but I just think that we've seen better from him. I think he's got to rely more on his think tank, like use Dhoni a bit more, and he may be doing that. But I think that he just needs to come into his own as a captain, and maybe this year's not Chennai's year. I think it's a bit too early to write anyone off in this competition, but I'm getting to the point where I'm going to write Chennai for this year. Oof. And say, look, take a year, come back next year with a fit team. Let's hope that Gaikwad gets into a bit of form, because at the end of last year, he was really pushing to get into that Indian setup. I think with his start to this IPL, he's going to have lost a lot of his consideration. So Gaikwad needs to find some form. Jadeja needs to sort of settle in as that captain. And then we obviously need our entire strength team with our, 14 crore star bowler. That would be really helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, it's still early days. So,
exactly. I think Chennai could come back, but it's now a very hard road. Like Chennai need to win 7 out of 10 games to at least have a chance at playoffs. So I think playoffs might be a bit beyond Chennai. Now, I would very much just like to see them do something and at least beat Sunrisers, because
that's a low bar. You're setting a very low bar. Right.
There we go. This is a very long episode, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was always going to be when we're both talking about our favourite teams. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Please, show your support down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, and leave a like as well. And follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod on Instagram and Twitter. I think that's it. So yeah,
please be kind to me.
Yeah. Give Benji some love. He's had a horrible day. So yeah, especially if you're a Chennai supporter, make yourself known down below. And obviously,
there aren't any.
If you're part of my Punjab fan, then just look at this smile. It's a great day. All right.
I'm very pleased for you, James.
All right. See you later, guys.